TGR News, broadcasting from the State of Israel.
Welcome back to TGR News.
Shalom, shalom from Israel.
Well, we're still under attack.
Boy, we really are under attack this time.
Well, Hamas started this whole thing on Monday, you know.
Yeah. But you know, they started it on with the first 7 rockets they fired.
Yeah.
They fired them at Jerusalem.
Yes.
Now, you know, that told me something. They, even though that's the only thing they done was just throw 7, but the whole thing started on the Mount of the Mount of
the Temple Mount.
The Temple Mount, yeah. Just like the Second Intifada did.
Mm-hmm.
It started the same way. And that points me directly to Zechariah 12, talking about the burdensome stone and
Yep.
everything else. I want to take just a minute and read it.
Yeah.
Just a minute and read it. So this is Zechariah 12, 1, 2, and 3. The burden of the Lord, the burden of the word of the Lord for Israel, saith the Lord, which stretches forth the heavens, and layeth the foundation of the earth, and formeth the spirit of man within him. Behold, I will make Jerusalem a cup of trembling unto all the people round about. When they shall be in the siege, both against Judah and against Jerusalem. And in that day I will make Jerusalem a burdensome stone for all people, and all that burden themselves with this shall be cut in pieces, through all the people of the earth be gathered together against it. Listen, God has a special place on this planet, and for those who haven't woke up to it yet, it's Jerusalem. It's His city. He calls it His city.
Yes.
You know, and this whole thing started with
The Temple Mount.
With the Temple Mount. So from there, but now we got a lot of other things to talk about. But I think it's important that we all try to remember.
Yeah.
What scripturally is happening, and it's just amazing.
Yep. Well, like you said, it all started on Temple Mount. With 6 o'clock on Monday, they started this thing off by shooting 35 rockets in 45 minutes. And it started because of the riots at the Temple Mount that the Arabs are doing. If you remember, we've been talking about it now for a couple of weeks as it was growing, as the riots were growing, and when they started during Jerusalem Day, when they started throwing rocks at the Jews down at the Western Wall from the Temple Mount, where the Mosque Al-Aqsa, like Alaska, but just switch the S and the K, Al-Aqsa. That's when the police had to go in.
Yeah.
So that's why it started, not because of anything, all this other stuff that you hear on the news, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's pathetic. And what's going on in Israel right now, I'm sure we're going to talk more about that on this thing, and that's what's going on inside of Israel. You know, I think there's a parallel going on here that it's really not all that easy for me to figure out exactly what it is. So I'll throw it out there for you to listen to and see what you come up with scripturally. In America, we see the whole country just falling apart morally from inside falling apart. Here we know we got Hezbollah waiting on the northern borders to attack, waiting for Israel to, or at least the way I see it, waiting for Israel to put a large contingency of soldiers into the Gaza Strip before they launch from Lebanon, Hezbollah. So, all that's going on, just like in America, we're seeing the political scene going crazy, and at the same time, we got the Intifada going on all over America with the Black Lives Matter and killing the police and everything. So there's something going on here that's sort of parallel. The two people mentioned in the Quran, the people of the book, is basically America and Israel. And so we're seeing the same thing happen. We're just watching scripture unfold right before our eyes.
Right. Absolutely. Well, up until now, we're into the 5th day. Like I said, it started on Monday. We've had about 2,000 rockets shot at us, with many deaths and many more injuries, and both on military and civilian lives. And kids, just yesterday, a 5-year-old kid died.
Oh my!
And anyway, it's hard to talk about.
It really is hard to talk about, and we're seeing now the large buildup of tanks and soldiers on the Gaza border. And if we go in, and it looks like we're going to have to go in, a lot of people are going to die. And there's going to be a lot of collateral damage. Even as careful as Israel is, Israel tries very hard to eliminate or to bring to a minimum any collateral damages. At the same time, Hezbollah and Hamas deliberately target all of our citizens. And they, like Joel just said, 2,000 rockets enter our cities. Yep. If it wasn't for the Iron Dome, we would have tens of thousands of people dead right now. The Iron Dome is, I really thank God for the Iron Dome. I mean, it has saved, no one can even begin to guess how many lives Iron Dome, Jewish lives, Iron Dome has saved.
Right. Yeah, it's very simple. Just look at where their rockets are aimed. It's straight into our cities. And look at when we retaliate, we go for their military positions where they shoot rockets from and everything. And of course, they use their own civilians as for backup on that. But that's not our fault. But we don't shoot just into the city randomly like they try, like they do us, right? So that tells the whole story.
Well, over all these skirmishes and wars and everything else, and by the way, you can't call this anything but war.
Yeah, it is.
They're still not labeling it a war. It's a war. I mean, anytime you have 200 rockets coming into your cities, if you're not in war, you don't know where you're at.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yep.
But we're seeing a lot of things happen right now. It's just I just don't understand it. It's like the Kristallnacht, the night of broken glass in Europe in 1945, 46. It was just when all the citizens of the cities that weren't Jewish all turned on the Jews. And broke all the glass, and it was the beginning of the end for the European Jewry at the end of the Second World War. We're seeing the same blueprint played out all over again right here in Israel.
Yeah. Well, on Tuesday they ramped up they did 100 rockets in 10 minutes towards Tel Aviv, and more towards the airport, and it caused us to close the airport down. So we had to close the airport down for that.
We've been talking about for the last couple of years that the airport's going to get closed down the first time the war breaks out. And this is just the beginning. And they had no problem bombing the airport, by the way.
Yeah, so what they, What they did is, what Israel did is they opened up the Eilat airport for stuff like the mail and stuff like that, right? What Hamas did then is they did one thing they put out a real quick message of this Ayasha 250, their new missile that goes 250 kilometers, and they shot at pretty much around the same time at Eilat to show that they could, and to the Jezreel Valley, which is way up north, at 250 kilometers. That almost covers the entire state of Israel. They can,
Jezreel Valley, by the way, is where Joe just done the Armageddon thing. This is really serious stuff. And it doesn't look like it's going to get any better anytime soon. And nobody wants to see. I don't think anyone in their right mind wants to see all these people murdered like this in wars. But the thing about it is, they're forcing it on us. We don't want war. No, there's not. I don't know one Israeli who wants the war, who doesn't want to get along with the Arabs.
Absolutely.
And the same Arabs now that's in Acre, Lod, Jaffa, Tiberias, and Haifa, all rioting Jews against Arabs and Arabs against Jews. Just up until a few weeks ago, everyone was getting along just fine. It just suddenly, like something spiritual, just fell on them, just like it has in America. It's a spiritual thing, and sometimes it's not so easy to explain more orally the physical things. Yeah. But something's really happened. There is an interesting thing that's happening today, by the way. Today's the 14th, right?
Yeah. Yes.
That's the birthday, May the 14th, the birthday of Israel.
Yes.
So it's like somehow that plays into it too. I'm sure the prophets out there are working on that about right now.
Bibi addressed the nation and talked about how Hamas has already paid a big price, but he also said they're going to pay even a bigger price, one that they never dreamt of. And hopefully, I hope they're planning on going in by foot. I think that's the only thing that would fix this problem, at least for a short while.
And all those people, all the Jews living along the borders of Gaza and Israel, the Sderot group, and there's just hundreds of kibbutzes and moshavs and small settlements in that area who have lived in terror for years and years because Israel wouldn't go in and finish off. Like in 2014, on Protective Edge, that movement, we were all disappointed that Israel didn't go in and finish him off, but they didn't. Yeah. Mostly because of the same thing that happens almost every time. America says, you have to show restraint. Now they're telling Israel, and all the European countries say to Israel, you have to show restraint. Now how do you restrain yourself from fighting back of 2,000 missiles trying to kill you and your family? How much restraint do you're supposed to have? It's not a matter of restraint. It's a matter of what's justice. There needs to be justice. These people live in places like on the Gaza border. They have, their kids have been sleeping in bathtubs because they're afraid with things over top of them, or sleeping in bomb shelters for days at a time, and traumatizing the children and everything. It's terrible. This sounds like a strange thing for me to say, but I want to tell you. I'll tell you how strange it, how much stress it is. And I know this is an off-color thing to say, but you know, I have a German Shepherd dog that I bought from a friend of ours who has a moshav right on the border with Gaza, and he raises German Shepherds, and they're the best German Shepherds in the world. Police departments all over the world try to get their dogs. But all of their dogs had diarrhea and they couldn't figure out how to stop them. And they figured out what it was. All the styrene's going on all the time.
That's stress.
And the bombs and the booms and everything going on. The dogs stay stressed out. Even dogs, you know.
Yeah.
It's just really that bad.
Yeah. Well, like you started talking about the civil war that's that's coming up now in Israel. It's all over the country. It started in little areas where cities that had both Arabs and Jews living, but now it's all over the place. It's in all the cities, and every night it's like civil war. It's like when the sun goes down, civil war starts.
Yeah.
Everywhere, all over the country. With live fire, like the Arabs that are not supposed to have weapons right inside of our borders. They're coming out and shooting cops, shooting Jews walking down the street, just absolute insanity.
Yeah. Well, it's going to have to get a lot worse. I hate to say this, but it's going to have to get a lot worse before it gets any better.
Yeah.
It's one thing about the Islamic faith, the Muslims. They don't understand negotiations. They have one set of rules. It's called the Quran, and that says that they have to kill you or convert you, whichever you choose.
Yeah.
Or you have to pay them a bounty every month to even live anywhere close to them. It's impossible to negotiate with these kind of people. They only understand strength.
Yeah.
They only understand strength. And Bibi, as much as I love him, he's let us down for many years because he keeps pulling back or listening to the international community, especially America. America did the same thing in 1982 in Beirut. We had the Palestinians all pinned up in the ports of Beirut. And the Navy, the Sixth Fleet, the American Sixth Fleets in the Mediterranean came in and rescued all the Palestinians and took them to Tunis. And then we started with the Yasser Arafat problem. That started there. And it seems like every time America will stop us before we can finish it. And this time I hope they stay away from it.
Well, we don't expect that with Biden at the helm.
Yeah.
Israel right now, as we speak, is making the decision whether or not to go in, into Gaza by foot, right? Which once again, I hope they do. That's the only answer here. The operation that we're in right now, by the way, is called the Wall Guard. Is what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
But one thing is Bennett. Bennett, he made a statement that he's backing off of this left-wing government idea he had. So, we don't, who cares anymore about Bennett, right?
Well, that's for me. He said that's for me. Because I've always been a Bennett fan, and I'm really disillusioned with him with this, his even suggestion that he might even form of left-wing government with an Arab party.
Yeah.
It just don't make any sense, and it's hard to believe. And I keep wanting to believe he was just using the strategy to force Bibi to do something. But now he says he's back on the right side again. Well, you can't go left, right, left, right, left, right. You know, you can not in Israel. You can't do that. You have to pick your side and stand up for it.
Yeah. Well, last night we had 3 missiles come from South Lebanon, from Hezbollah, shot into the country. Nasrallah, you know, the head of Hezbollah, Nasrallah, he immediately said it wasn't Hezbollah, but who else could it be? So that's a joke when he says it wasn't Hezbollah. But it's just like they did in 2014 in Sukkot when we went in to Gaza. It's like his little message to like I'm with you guys to Hamas in Gaza, right? Where he just does a little tuk tuk tuk, and then that was it. Same thing in 2014.
Again, what I think, you know, and I've been here a long time, I'm a big thinker, but this is what Hezbollah is waiting for, and I think everyone knows it. That nobody wants to talk about it because it would really be a disaster for Israel. They think that when Israel gets to the point where they have to put a large number of Israeli soldiers into Gaza on a ground operation, that's when they want to cut loose with all their hundreds of thousands of rockets and missiles all over Israel. And Iran is sitting there wanting to pull the trigger, waiting to see Israel get as many soldiers as they can get out of their northern region and put it back down here on the south to fight Gaza. When they do that, then the north is going to be in trouble.
Right.
That's what I believe. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope my reasoning don't add up right, but that's the way it looks to me.
What it looks like. Well, that was about it for the facts and for today. The one thing is we definitely won't be going out doing travel videos during this time, so don't be expecting that. But we will be putting out updates all from now and then to let you know what's going on here. So until next time, God bless.
Shabbat Shalom from Israel.
And don't forget to come over to thegoldenport.com and see if you want to be a part of this ministry.
Yeah, and listen, on this YouTube thing, hit the subscribe and the little bell on the side so we can catch Joe when he comes up with all these updates all the time.
Right.
That last one he come up with just yesterday or the day before was absolutely right on. It's 100% right on. I'm really proud of him.
Thank you very much. So we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.